Last time, Tony from Tony's Mopar Parts flew out to the graveyard to check in on the restoration progress on his 1970 Challenger RT, only to be given the runaround while cousin Dougie raced against the clock to disassemble. With Tony back home and SEMA fast approaching, the ghouls hustle to get Chris Jacobs' 1968 GTX and John Buck's 1971 Challenger completed in time for the big event. But Mark is about to receive some bad news.
Just a black eye for Graveyard Carz.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
The unburied dead are coming back to life.
I'm Mark Warman. And together we bring dead muscle cars back to life. To exactly the way they were on the day they were born.
I'm getting ready to do the spot welds on the trunk on John Buck's car. Hopefully everything goes good. I mean, I cleaned the metal, I prepped it. What more can I ask for? As long as the spot welder does what it should do, it should go good.
John is a great client of ours. We've got several cars for him. We have had over the years. The first one we did for him was the 1971 Challenger RT factory formal roof car. We were a little late getting John's car done because we had to put it on the back burner to get our 71 Cuda down to the SEMA show for Mopar. Now, John was in on all that. He knew the reason his car got backburnered. While he was down there, as soon as the car was unveiled, John fell in love. And sure enough, you know, he ended up coming up to me and saying, I want an identical twin to my car, the 71, but I want it to be Hellcat powered. His car's going great. George has been doing a good job on it. The rest of the pieces Dave's been rounding up, so I think we're gonna be out of the woods on that one. Chris Jacobs, that's an extra monkey in the wrench, as John McClane would say. Die hard. That car's gonna be a little bit tougher because I think we only have like 30 or 60 days to get it done. But that's getting the 392, so it's gonna be a little simpler since we've just done that on our 71 Cuda. But all in all, we got a shop full of cars and we are heading to SEMA with dos cool cars.
So I've been working on John Buck's car, trying to get it ready for SEMA. I got my metal in, everything's went kind of smooth, but I mean, there's so many things to go over. It's all just adding up and taking extra time. I mean, honestly, there's no way I'm finishing this car. I'm really having a hard time. I mean, the car's going good for what it is, but with the deadline, the time, I just...
Because we actually got to call an owner of this car and tell him his car's not going to be done. Then we have to call Mopar and let them know we're not going to be able to keep our promise with them. Like, why isn't everybody else helping on it? There was maybe 80 or 90 hours worth of metal work, and here we are. So that's the problem. If people don't have any kind of a sense of urgency and they don't feel like it matters, then it doesn't matter. And if it doesn't matter to you or to Adam or Will or Alyssa or the rest of the team, if it doesn't, then it's like, what are we doing it for, right?
Right.
Right? It's just a black eye for Graveyard Carz, that's all. Is what it is. It's disappointing, it's upsetting, it's frustrating, it's all those things because, I mean, so many people count on this kind of thing, right? I mean, we make our promises that we'll do it, and I really felt like, I honestly, legitimately felt like we could make it happen. It's very maddening and it's very frustrating, and, you know, but I'm not, you know, 10 years ago I would have been throwing things, and right now it's just, I've got to go make some embarrassing phone calls. Hey, Bill Mark. How are you? Bill out at Mopar, he's my connection. It's the one we worked with last year in order to get the 71 Cuda to the SEMA show. Hey, so if you got just a second, here's our situation. Pretty good chance, maybe more likely than not, that we won't be able to get the car there. All right, hang on a second here. Well, give me just a second, okay. So it turns out they've already gone to publication with their newsletter. They've already blocked out all these time slots for that particular car to be there. No, I wasn't saying we wouldn't be there with a car. I was saying I didn't think we would make it with the Challenger. Well, I don't. Well, that's what I'm doing, is I'm figuring that out right now. So I was just thinking if I could pluck one of the cars out of the lineup that are a lot closer to the finish line, even if it's temporarily put the Hellcat in, at least we can get down there to the show. Sorry if I startled you, that wasn't the point. Yeah. Okay, buddy. Bye-bye. I just have to go out and I have to find a car that's gonna fit. Then after I find the car that it could fit and everything could work and the timing and everything's right, I still gotta call the owner of that car and make sure they're okay with us doing this. So, wish me luck. So I'm looking through the cars that are actually painted. But it's not just finding one that's painted or ready to go together, it's also the fact that, like this, the 69 GTX is a beautiful car. It's also a numbers matching car. You don't pull a numbers matching drivetrain out. I mean, I don't care who asks me, all right? 71 CUDA. Okay, I got one here. Think about it. Oh, God. Hey, buddy.
Don't start with all that stuff.
Well, just...
I was supposed to remind you yesterday about putting the order in through Phoenix Graphics.
Well, you're supposed to remind me yesterday. Why are you reminding me today?
It's better than not at all.
Okay.
And it was,
Oh, okay. I got it. I'm with you. So, 70 Challenger. What else?
we have the Superbird.
Okay. Alice! Mary!
Yep.
Cindy! Hey, Will?
Yeah, hey.
You got a second, buddy?
What's up?
What's Dave got left on that thing?
Oh, we've got the nose cone and then a few interior
Ryan's
pieces.
gonna help him put that on?
Yeah. So it's pretty much wrapped up.
You know, is he expecting that in like 2 or 3 weeks? Alrighty, thank you.
You're welcome.
For the idea.
What idea? Yeah. Glad I could help.
Superbird. It's a non-numbers anything. That's the car. There's nobody on the planet that's ever done one of these in the first place with a Hellcat crate engine in one, and they certainly haven't done one in a wing car. I'm glad I thought of that. Superbird. Will, go round up Davey. So that's really good news. I just talked to Dave and I talked to Will, talked to Alyssa. I got everybody's input and feedback on doing the Superbird. So all I have left is I got to call the owner of the Superbird, get his buy-in on it. Sir, the stars are shining on you today. I'm not going to call them up and say, oh, I'm really in big trouble. Can you help me out? Because then they feel like they have one on you. I'm going to tell them I'm going to do them a favor. How would you like me to remove the 440 plus 6 barrel and the 4-speed out of the Superbird, bear with me, and install a 707 horsepower Hellcat crate engine with a 6-speed Tremec transmission at no extra charge to you? No. I just, you were the first person I thought of when they offered the engine that I would want to make happy with this. So, you know, you deserve that. You're a good guy. You're in. Good. Who's the dream maker? Dreammaker. We are green light for Hellcat, Superbird, SEMA, rock on. You guys cut when I'm doing this because it looks like I'm flying out of set. Don't hang on it too long because
Mark just informed me that our 70 Superbird tribute car, which is a 446 barrel, is now going to be called the Hellbird, which in a sense is going to be our 70 Superbird tribute car with a Hellcat engine in it.
Dave just stopped me on the way by to check in on the Superbird and give him a handset in the back window. And I think we're going to have to go backwards before we go forwards shortly, right?
Yeah, we are.
The 446 barrel and the 4-speed that's so painstakingly put in there is all going to come back out and make room for the bad boy.
Yeah, which is going to be awesome.
But we got to get past this first, so we're going to set the back window in it, then he can finish wrapping up the rest of the interior, and we'll start working on the rest of the disassembly of the car.
Sweet.
Let's do it. So before we set the back glass, I just wanted to show you, these are the reveal molding clips. The reveal molding that pops on that puts the trim around between the vinyl top and the glass. It's called a back glass reveal molding. They're held in place with these little clips. Now normally, originally, this was steel.
Exactly.
But this is the Ted Janik reproduction, so it's made of fiberglass. So Dave took it upon himself to think that out a little bit and realized that if it was just screws, they could possibly work their way back out over the years with vibration. So what he did was underneath there, the screw that holds this in place, you put panel bond adhesive on it.
That's what you recommended using.
And it's going to lock that mother up tight as a drum. So I just feel bad for the guy trying to get him back out next time.
Exactly.
Ready?
All right, boss. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
And that's how we put a back window in. You're welcome. All right.
Stay tuned. Our Tribute Superbird gets its drivetrain removed in preparation for the epic plug-and-play Hellcat. Ron Jenkins arrives with a plethora of accessories to not only make our Superbird a Hellbird, but to breathe new life into Chris Jacobs' 1968 GTX, getting equipped with its own 392 Hemi crate engine. With less than a month away, the only question is, will they make it in time?
A few weeks ago, Chris's car came in. We got the drivetrain taken out of it. We bring it over here, you kind of assess the damage, and we were hoping we could do kind of some quick repairs, but since it was a fire, it kind of just blistered the paint everywhere. So it was just safest to make sure that it was a good quality job, that I just stripped the whole thing down to bare metal. Once that's done, you go back through it, got a nice coat of primer on it. Then once that dries, I'm gonna sand it out, get the black on it for Mike to come in and do his graphics. Mike just showed up. We got the car in the booth ready for him just to go to work on it. So we took him in there. He kind of did an overview of what he's gonna do with the little Phoenix. Everything looks good and he's ready to get going. Mike Laval is one of the top airbrushers in the world. So him and Chris have built a very good relationship. So when it came time to doing this project, he wanted him to come in and do his artwork on it. Now that he's got all of his part done, I'm gonna jump in there, I'm gonna clear coat the engine compartment, clear coat the hood, and then it's done and ready to go back over to Dave for assembly.
This is something we don't normally do. I'm actually going to start disassembling the drivetrain and suspension on our 1970 Superbird tribute car in preparation for a Hellcat engine. So super excited about putting a Hellcat engine in this Superbird. It's going to be the talk of SEMA, I guarantee you. I mean, this car is going to be amazing. 6-speed manual transmission, Dana 60 rear axle. It's going to be an amazing car. But to get to that point, right now we got a 446 barrel in there with a 4-speed manual. So I actually got to take out the 446 barrel and the 4-speed manual transmission and then get it all prepared for that amazing Hellcat engine. So that's what I'm in the process of doing now. I got to take out the radiator, of course, the shroud, unhook all the hoses, unhook all the wiring and the plumbing, and then we'll work underneath of the car. So super excited. What I'm going to end up doing is on this particular build is I'm going to trunk mount the battery on this. Because on our Hellcat engine, our air box is going to come down like right here and our air filter is going to be sitting right here. So I want to remove this battery tray, and by trunk mounting it, I won't have any obstructions in the engine compartment. It'll look nice and clean. We'll end up putting this engine in another car, which should be cool because it's all built out and ready to rock and roll. So then once I get all this here unbolted out of the top end here, then I'll push the car back and get it up on the lift and start prepping out the bottom. Then our man Ron should be showing up here. Ron from Magnum Force is actually going to help us with the suspension on our Superbird as well as Chris Jacobs' car. It makes it so much easier to have him, helping us because he's really experienced in these engine transformations, and of course it's his design and suspension. So who would you want better than Ron to actually help you put the engine on there? As I'm removing the radiator, I know I got to move on to the upper control arms as well as all the rest of the suspension. Then I start thinking about it, looking at that engine compartment, trying to picture a Hellcat engine in there. And it sounds really cool, but then you start thinking of the reality of it of, we got to put a Hellcat engine in here. It's not like a 392 that we've already done, which is really easy, just a Hellcat engine. You start thinking, I don't know if this is going to work, but so it's reality check time. As far as the Hellcat and 392 go, the only difference that I know is one's supercharged and one's not. So I know you got those extra components like the supercharger, the extra belt, you know, and stuff like that. So as far as the engine goes, the wiring goes, I mean, Mopar's awesome. Their wiring and everything works plug and play, pretty simple. But then I started thinking, what's different from that Hellcat engine than that 392 Hemi, and realized it's going to be a little bit more difficult than I anticipated. Pretty much got all the firewall unplugged, all the wiring harness, all the hoses, and so we're pretty much ready to go underneath of the car and start working on the undercarriage, which is just primarily transmission cross member, the Z-bar, you know, drive shaft of course, and then the K-member, upper control arms, and then out she's going to come. The owner ought to be super stoked. I mean, for one, I mean, who has a Superbird with a 707 horsepower Hellcat? I mean, you just try to wrap your head around that. 707 horsepower. I mean, it's just an insane amount of power. I mean, thank goodness it's actually going into a wing car, because you're probably going to need that wing to keep the ass of that car on the ground. I mean, it's insane. It's crazy.
In 1970, on a Plymouth Barracuda, we know that if the second digit of the VIN was an S, like for special, it meant it was the performance model. It was the CUDA, no longer the Barracuda. Which of these options was not standard on a CUDA model? Was it hood pin tie downs, road lamps, rally instrument cluster? Think you know the answer? Stay tuned after the break. You'll find out. So what did you think, folks? What did you come up with? 1970 CUDA, what was not standard on it? If you answered the rally instrument cluster, you're correct. The rally instrument cluster was an option still on the CUDA models, where the road lamps, those came standard. If you had an S in the second character of your VIN, you got those. You got the hood pin tie downs, along with some other really cool options. Now, what's interesting about that is you go over to the Challenger, and all Challenger RTs, which would be arguably the sister to the CUDA, did come standard with the A62 rally instrument cluster, which by the way featured the famous 8,000 RPM tachometer. Instead of the phrase, the eagle has landed, the Hell Crate has landed. The crate engines just showed up from Mopar. We got our 392, we got our Hell Crate. We got to move them over to the engine room, get them up onto stands so we can start working on them. There's some conversions, oil pan things that have to happen. We're going to get ready for that. All right, let's lift this mother humper off of there. Oh, look at that. Ha ha! Wrap that thing off of there. Let's see what we got. Wow, look at that clutch. Son of a...
Oh my goodness.
Look at those factory headers. Jeez.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, pretty damn cool. So typically speaking, what we do is use the shop crane, lift the engine up off of the stand, or off of the crate, put it on our engine stand, and we'd be in good shape. The problem is there's no lifting points on this Hellcat engine. So we used our forklift to come in, lift it up in the air, but now to be able to put it onto the actual engine stand itself so we can do the modifications to it, we have to take the clutch, pressure plate, and flywheel off the car. So that's what Doug's doing now, is getting those things off so we can mount it onto the engine stand, then we can roll it over and get started on the conversion work we have to do. Okay, now we're gonna come in here, guys, and we're gonna start zapping these mother humpers out. Oh my gosh, it's pretty light, isn't it?
It's pretty cool, man.
We're used to these old
Pretty
tanks,
cool.
man. Look at this, it's all hogged out in the backside. That's beautiful.
It is.
Having done the 392 in our 71 CUDA, but not having done the Hellcat, I'm not exactly sure of everything. I would suspect the basic footprint is the same, but I know that the Hellcat is supercharged. So there's gonna be things like the supercharger plumbing and the cooling that go with that, plus probably different exhausts. I mean, I'm sure that there's a difference between that original 450 horse or so up to the 707 horsepower. I have no doubt that they made some changes. I just hope there's not so many different things that it either makes it impossible to install or slows us down to a point where we can't make our deadline.
Oh, nice.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. Ooh.
Okay, we got Ron Jenkins coming up from Magnum Force. He's going to give us a hand putting the changeover pieces on this. We got to change out the oil pan, the pickup tube, the dipstick. I think the oil filter relocation of the oil pump. I think that also has to happen. So when he gets here, we'll do that. Then we'll put it together on the Magnum Force suspension, and we'll put it in the Superbird. And we'll hit the key and see if it starts. 707 horsepower of fire-breathing nightmare. There's no doubt that everything is going great. I'm optimistic that we will meet our deadlines, at least I'm hoping so. But you know, my job as an owner is always a little bit different, because while the rest of the guys are celebrating and getting ready to go to the big show where they roll out the carpet and treat everybody like celebrities, which is ridiculous, I still have John Buck sitting in the back of my mind thinking, man, I gotta make the call. I gotta disappoint this guy again. And I don't want to damage that relationship. But the fact of the matter is, we're where we're at right now. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, so I've got to make the call.
Since Chris burned the car to the ground, we just had a little engine compartment work to do. We put a new hood on it, lowered the hood down, painted it black, and we do that in a complete single stage. So once that's dry and fully cured, I go back over it, mask off the black, and then I lay out the flat black. So it's kind of having to do it in two different stages. That way we can get the glossy and the flat.
So I'm underneath the car. I got pretty much all the drivetrain unbolted and everything else. I'm lifting the car up off the suspension. Oh man, it's starting to really settle in of how troublesome. I mean, look at the timeline, 3 weeks. Got 3 weeks to put this engine in there. I just can't wrap my head around that. I just don't think that that's gonna happen. Here we got a completely painted car. I got carpet in it. I got everything else on the inside. I'm gonna have to tear all that out, cut into this tunnel. I'm hoping we're not gonna have to cut into this firewall. I'm really starting to feel the pressure, come down on me as this suspension comes out that I worked all this time to actually get into the car, get it all hooked up, is coming out.
Coming up, the 392 Crate Hemi gets prepped and ready to be installed in Chris Jacobs' 1968 GTX. With its engine compartment already painted with gorgeous artwork by Chris's friend Mike Lavallee, the ghouls take extra care not to scratch the paint.
Did you know that the Dodge Challenger was first introduced in 1959 as the limited edition Dodge Silver Challenger Club Sedan? Kind of a mouthful. Also, an interesting point to note is that it was a submodel of the Coronet. As the name implied, the 59 Challenger only came in silver, which is kind of boring, and it only had 2 engines available, the 230 cubic inch flathead 6-cylinder Getaway and the 326 cubic inch Red Ram V8. The car was marketed to new buyers who wanted the most bang for their buck. So that meant tacking on extra features at no extra cost. And that included premium white wall tires, full wheel covers, electric windshield wipers, upgraded interior, dual armrests, sun visors, and even deep pile wall-to-wall carpeting. Wow. At one point, the Challenger name lapsed and none other than Studebaker came along and introduced their own Challenger in 1964. But eventually Dodge got back in the game in 1969 for the 1970 model year with the Challenger that we know and love today. The 1970 Challenger is often thought of as Dodge's answer to the Mustang and Camaro. It was an E-body like the Cuda, but just a little bigger, 2 inches longer to be exact. Unlike its 1959 forebearer, the 70 had a lot of options, including almost every engine in the Chrysler lineup. It may have been a late response to the pony cars of the mid-60s, but Dodge seemed to be doing it right, pulling out all the stops. The general consensus is that Chrysler positioned the Cuda to compete directly with the likes of the Ford Mustang and the Chevy Camaro, setting up the Challenger as a more luxurious option to compete with the Mercury Cougar and the Pontiac Firebird. All right, so one last fun fact before I'm out of here. In the classic 1971 film Vanishing Point, its 1970 Challenger RT 440 Magnum is prominently featured. As it happened, 5 nearly identical Challengers were lent to the film by Chrysler and needed to be returned after filming. Well, spoiler alert, at the end of the film, the Challenger exploded. So this set up a bit of a problem for the filmmakers because even though they were rough on some of the cars, they couldn't give one of the cars back in pieces. So what did they do? They decided to blow up a stand-in car instead. And you know what that stand-in car was? A 1967 Camaro. So, even in Vanishing Point, the Challenger managed to win out over another pony car. But we weren't surprised by that, because it's Mopar or no car, or blown up car, whatever the case may be.
So far, the ghouls have hustled to get Chris Jacobs' 1968 GTX and John Buck's 1971 Challenger completed. But when Mark discovered that John's Challenger wasn't going to make the deadline, work shifted to convert the Tribute Superbird to a Hellbird. Now, the ghouls race against the clock to build out each K-member and install the epic Hellcat and 392 Hemis into both muscle cars.
Ronnie!
Hey. How's it going?
You did it, all right.
So I'm Ron Jenkins. I'm out here from Magnum Force Racing, and I thought I'd give the guys a hand on this new Superbird project. It's going to have a Hellcat motor in it. I got a load of parts, let me tell you.
I hope you have enough for 2 or 3 cars?
I do, actually. Yep, got 3 cars worth. I love giving them options, you know. Everybody likes choice. So I brought a number of other subcomponents that are going to go with the suspensions as well, like oil pans and just a multitude of different options to help get this project along.
Oh.
There you go, huh? What do you think?
Wow, look at there. So Ron brought everything in, got it all laid out. There's some pretty cool stuff that you brought in. Okay, so what kind, oh wow, look at that. I love it, it's like candy.
Yeah.
Now what's, so the pans are different?
Yeah.
So what's this here then?
The pan has to be shorter.
You're saying on the Hellcat, we can't afford this much lip from here to here?
Exactly. So they moved that hole farther back from the 6.4.
And this, you modified this?
Yeah, we do that.
We got our coilover shock setups, stock ride height spindles, is that true?
Yep, yeah. Went ahead and powder coated a set of stock spindles. We got a couple pairs of them here.
Because I want that Superbird and Jacobs both to ride at the same height.
Yeah. What we've got here is the power steering component. So we're looking at all the return lines, and
so this would probably go on, down on this end.
Yeah, you got 2 fittings here. You've got a return and a feed.
I see.
So you got your high pressure line and your low pressure return line. And of course, to match up to all this wonderful 3rd gen Hemi stuff, we've got serpentine built. So
is that beautiful?
That will go on there.
I love it. Holy cow.
Are you familiar with the battle-worn appearance of things, like with firearms and things like that? So looking at the welds here, you can kind of see the highs and lows are showing there.
Oh, it's still got the black down in it in the recess area.
Exactly.
God, it's cool. All your stuff's so cool. Okay, now I'm gonna guess, and I'm a little colorblind, but that looks green to me.
It's a beautiful color of very much lime green. It probably won't be an exact color match for the bird itself,
but that's your intention, wasn't it?
It's pretty close.
Because I know what you're thinking. This is bird, so you're asking me to choose between these 2 here. I don't like it when you do that. It makes life just tough. Well, you know I'm not a good decision maker, obviously. Wow.
Shall I call Chris and see what he wants?
No. You know what? Chris is out of the loop. Chris ruined it all. So Chris apparently has a problem with fire. He likes to burn stuff to the ground. So since he burned his car to the ground, we decided we'd give him a fire-resistant coating. CJ, my man, you are getting the coolest Magnum Force cross member money can buy. I'm beyond in love. I cannot wait to put this together. It's gonna be the first Superbird Hellcat on the planet. They've got some mods they've got to do to, you know this better than anybody, to the Superbird. I was a little late getting that done. I'm gonna have them go ahead and start doing that. But what do you think if you and I start working on modifying the engines?
Yeah, let's get the pans on, let's get the pumps on, all that good stuff.
Gonna put the pans on. You do any dancing, Ron? Where you're from?
Time to rock and roll.
The E-body convertibles are some of the most collectible cars on the planet today. True or false? In 1970, no matter how much money you had, you could not get a Challenger RT convertible with the high-winding, high-torquing 340 engine. Now, if you think you know the answer, I would recommend you stay tuned after the break and find out if you're right. All right, ghouls, how did you do? This was a little bit of a tricky one. Could you get a 340 in a 70 Challenger RT model in a convertible? You couldn't. Absolutely could not get that package no matter how much money you had. Now this is interesting. In 1970, the Challenger RT, convertible or hardtop, didn't matter, was not available with the 340 period. Now for those of you that are getting upset out there saying my friend had one, your friend had a 1970 Challenger with a 340, no doubt about that, but it wasn't an RT model. It was the A66 Performance model. Now there's one for you. Now in 1971, for whatever reason, you could not get a Challenger RT convertible with any combination. They dropped the RT from the lineup of the convertibles in 1971. So now you know, there's the answer. Do you foresee any big problems on converting this over? I know it's similar in many ways, but I notice even the oil pan, like we talked about, is different. So you think we're going to have some others? Or?
Yeah, well, I tell you, what seems like is going to be a little hidden surprise is going to be some of the plumbing related to the supercharger. But I doubt it's anything we won't be able to overcome.
All right, gentlemen, let's rotate the engine over and get the oil pan off. All this comes together nicely. We should be able, maybe by the end of the day, if all goes well, get the engine onto the K-member and mocked into the car. Because there's also a multitude of things that the other car we did last year for SEMA, the 392, there's a lot of things this one has, like the cooler, intercooler, whatever they want to call it for the supercharger.
Right. And
then there's remote reservoirs for that. There's piping and tubing that all have to go underneath the hood. So none of this we counted on. So we gotta get that engine mocked in there and then start putting the pieces where they belong. We are ready for an oil pan. I'm gonna be gone for a few minutes or longer. The guys from Radiator Supply House just brought the radiators for this one and Chris Jacobs. So I'm gonna go make sure they fit, look like they're supposed to. You guys put your oil pan on, and I say start working on your motor mounts, engine mounts, sorry. You also have your relocation thing you gotta put on? Okay.
Got that too.
All right.
We're good to go.
If you need me, I'll be upstairs asleep.
Great.
Movie? That's Christmas Vacation. That's the father-in-law. If you need me, Clark, I'll be upstairs asleep. You guys got the ice box? I'm the ice man. Wes, how in the heck are you?
Good, Mark.
Good to see you.
Good to see you,
Derek,
Mark.
right?
Yep. We're the boys from Sweet Home. Radiator Supply House. Essentially just do most all the restoration for radiators.
So I know you were working with Dave. We got Jacobs GTX.
Yep.
He gave you all the dimensions for the radiator mounting?
Yes. Yep.
Same thing for our Superbird 26-inch opening?
Yep.
Okay, and that's what you guys have in here?
Yep. It fits in whatever you're building, thick enough to cool whatever power you put behind it.
Okay, let's do it. Let's,
Cool.
Okay. Ready? Oh. Wow, that's a good-looking setup.
I'll give that to you.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, look at that. Wow.
That's what they call direct replacement, right?
Wow. Boy, that's just fantastic. It looks really nice. You're the man. That's why you surround yourself with the good stuff right there.
Got to put on an oil filter adapter to get the angle correct, or the filter will run into the K-member.
Well, this is great. So now let's take a look. You've got Jacobs too.
Yep.
I want to just peek at that real quick. Ooh. Oh, that's cool. Who told you to do that? Oh, Christopher Robin Jacobs. Look at that.
Good job.
Thank you. It's good to see you guys.
Good to see you too.
Hey, this is great.
You need anything else, let us know.
Oh, come on out. I'll walk you out. Ron's going to put on his power steering pump. I just want to show you something here real quick. The original power steering pump would have bolted into the bosses that are in this cylinder head here. To use his reservoir, this one here, he's built this really cool adapter. That's what this is here. So he's got it already bolted into place, and those are the original mounting points for the original power steering pump. Now that will accept this into place. So Ron, you go ahead and put that on. Okay, so right now we're ready to put the new wiring harness on again. Grab that, Dave.
Sure.
This is part of their package. Is you have to take that old harness off, put this on, because this will talk well and play well with the new controller unit that we're going to install in the car. So we've gotten to a point where we have the K-member, the Magnum Force K-member installed on the engine. All the pieces are bolted up, the changes, the oil pan, the pickup, all the things that needed to change, they're changed out. So we can flip it over, put it on the stands that we have for it. Then we'll be able to marry the 6-speed Tremec to it. And there's quite a few little pieces involved in that as well. But that's the very first thing. After that, we'll be able to put it in the car. So I have cousin Duct Tape and Dave working together on helping Ron marry the transmission together with the Hell Crate. And I think that if Rod Serling were to do a modern day version of the Twilight Zone, he would have these two worlds colliding. It's so cool. You've got the 3rd generation Hell Crate engine married to a 6-speed aluminum transmission. But sitting right on the top is the same cherry that was sitting on the same pie back in 1970, the legendary pistol grip shifter. What a great fusion of old and new school together. I just love this kind of stuff. We are at a point right now where all the Superbird pieces are completely done and ready to go into the car. So engine, transmission, we've done the wiring harness, we did the oil pump, the sump, the different conversion pieces, everything is ready. That's a good point for us to stop because we are on a timeline, and while all this is fresh in our head, jump over on Chris Jacobs' drivetrain and get it ready to install. So we're gonna do that next. Let's do this thing.
Okay.
Bottom floor, Hemi.
Bottom floor.
I don't have my eyeglasses on.
We got that.
Get your glasses on.
Fitting on this side, so.
It looks pretty centered so far. Yeah, you're gonna wanna watch that.
Let's see, point of interference.
The AN fitting. Army Navy. And Dave is routing a wiring harness that'll go to the controller through the firewall right now. I'm liking the way that the 3rd generation Hemi stuff is bolting in these cars. Okay, it's a small block, it's based on a small block, so that gives you the extra room you wouldn't have with like a Hemi by all means, or even a 440. They go in, they fit nicely, you don't really have too much to worry about in the way of scratching things. And in case of Chris Jacobs, that's a really good thing, because boy, if we do have a problem with it, it's got some custom artwork done on it, and we would be in real big trouble if something were to happen to it.
Are you excited working on a celebrity's car?
I don't know what you mean. I mean, it'd be like working on my own car. Why would I get excited about working on my own car? Obviously. Okay. How are we looking, gentlemen?
Looking good.
All right.
Okay. Ooh, a little less altitude.
Lower down a little more there, old buddy. Yep, barrel roll.
Yeah.
Do a P51.
Yeah, that's right. Giddy up.
There we go. Let's get down past where we got. You know, pull the dipstick tube out of the transmission for me. Yeah, perfect. All right, I think we're ready to go down just a little bit more, gentlemen. All right.
Wiring is hanging.
Stop, please, Doug. We need.
Oh, you popped that strap off, huh? The front of the K number.
I didn't take it off.
Oh, I didn't take it off either. Usually that
Maybe
pulls
we
it
never
flat.
put it on.
Oh, I had it on.
Who took the strap off the front?
Pretty good.
You long hair.
Did it, and I'm proud of it.
Dirty long hair. If I could grow my hair like that.
Let me see if I can get in here a second.
Dave would like a moment to clear a few things up over there. I noticed that Dave has taken a extra modicum of caution when it comes to installing this engine in Chris's car, and I can see exactly why. Like I had mentioned earlier, Mike came all the way down from Washington and did this really cool commemorative artwork on it. And so it's not like on the other cars where if you scratch something, we just send it over to Will and he touches it up. Will can't do that kind of graphic artwork. So with that, I'm just really glad that Dave's taken the extra steps to be really cautious right now. We can't have that setback, he knows it. So again, it's all what makes great teamwork at Graveyard Cars.
There?
Got it. Okay.
I think we're ready to go up.
I think we're good, yeah.
I think we're good too. Thumbs up, Doug.
Thumbs up, cars up.
We might as well lower it down. Let's see what that looks like in there. Now look at that. Reborn.
God, we got room for headers.
Wow.
Wow. Look at that. That's the way they're supposed to fit. Just like that.
Boy, that's nice, huh?
Okay, gentlemen, I am going to cut you loose to bolt everything together. Ron, you have suspension for it. You got all your trickeries.
Okay.
We're gonna go work on a Superbird that's about to get a Hellcat. Gato de Hades. Some people call it hell, I call it Hades.
So we got the K-member and engine in, got the lower control arms on already, so we're about to put the upper control arms on. As soon as we get that tackled, we'll put on Chris's brakes. He wanted to stay with his brakes that he brought the car in on, and that's one of the cool things about our suspension, is that it allows the inclusion of pre-existing combinations like this. It's actually going to be a big time saver and a big money saver as well.
So while I am the first to admit the week started off pretty scary, pretty
really
disappointing.
Scary. Really scary.
George comes in and tells me that the car's not going to make it. He didn't seem too worried about it either, which made me worry a lot for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
But once I had, and I'm not going to take credit for it, I just happened to be an epiphany, came up with the idea of going to the Superbird for the tribute, that things just really started to kind of break free a little bit, and it lightened the mood, and everybody was, I think, kind of a team player and ready to go with it.
Yeah,
So.
well, Will was going around the shop telling everybody that he came up with the idea of putting a Hellcat in the Super.
What? Is that what he said?
That's what he said.
He did his job. I told him to remind me to order the Phoenix Graphics stuff. So he comes in my office, and you know what it is, because they were filming, doing their thing.
Yep.
It's his chance to showboat, right? That's what this is all about. Anyway, once that weather changed and we were ready to get going, Jacob's car, now there's a lot of steps, but a lot less steps in that one than there is Superbird.
Yeah, way more familiar with that engine.
So phenomenal job getting it disassembled quickly without breaking anything. That's good. Mike LaValle?
Yeah, LaValle.
It's good that he showed up. So overall, I think on Jacob's car, everything went great. There is a lot to get that Superbird together. All the pre-alignment that you can do, all the preparation, all the conversion, all those things. But a few things always worry me. Number one is we haven't done that engine. Did you happen to notice that the engine is incredibly tall with the supercharger on it?
It's way tall.
It's a different looking footprint than I thought that it was earlier. I thought that it was kind of an identical twin to the 392. Even though I think it's smaller cubic inches, it sure looks bigger.
Yeah, and I made the mistake of assuming that it was plumb the same as the 392 with the upper and lower radiator hoses, and I was wrong about that. So I had to call our friends over at Radiator Supply House and have a new radiator made for it.
You told them the outlet is on the other side?
Yep.
Why would they change? Well, they probably the plumbing to get to the supercharger.
Exactly.
But the good news is that thing's ready to go together, and if everything goes well, get that car put together and ready and make it to SEMA.
Yeah, hopefully. Down to the wire.
Down to the wire. Good job.
Just the way we like it, right?
Yep. And what's it, just, you guys cut. What was he saying about him doing something? He didn't come up with nothing. I'm the guy that came up with everything.
You did. Yeah,
I did.
You came up with you.
Just appreciate it.
Oh, and I was going to ask you too, how did John Buck take the news of not getting his car to go to SEMA?
I haven't done it. I don't have the heart. His car isn't going to get done because of SEMA again. But the good news is I'll get him a set of tickets. He should be happy. Probably buy him a hot dog when I'm down there.
Be great.